Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to share with you a brand new workflow that lets you take any untextured 3D render and use AI to texture it, almost like a hyperrealism filter for your 3D work. The key advantage to this method is that you keep full camera and animation control inside your 3D software, while AI handles the photorealism. So if you're new here, my name is Brandon, and I've been working as a 3D artist for over 6 years now, and when I started testing AI, I noticed that real camera control is still missing. So in this video, I'll show you the hybrid workflow on how to combine 3D and AI to get the best of both worlds, and why this might actually be the most practical way to use AI as a 3D artist right now. Today, we are working with the new Luma Agents inside their brand new workspace product. And I'll be honest, it's one of the most creative AI interfaces that I've used. So quick heads up, Luma actually gave me early access to the Luma Agents, and they're also sponsoring this video. But if you've seen some of my previous videos, you already know I'm a fan of Luma. So I was actually pretty excited to try this early. It feels like a node-based workflow, but instead of building complex graphs, you're actually just chatting directly with an AI agent inside a visual board. So the agents are like intelligent collaborators that actually understand the physical world, which is super cool. It's almost like having a creative assistant sitting next to you handling the AI heavy lifting. So here's how it works. Inside Luma, you have your entire board, image generators, video generators, and your doodle and text tools, and on the right side is the agent. And the agent is the driving force behind everything. So treat it like your collaborator because it not only chats with you, but it creates in the board for you. So here's a practical example of how I used it. So I wanted to make a shoe ad that takes place in a jungle and various other environments, and I wanted to use my own previs animation for the control of the camera and shoe, but use AI to texture everything and create the environments for me. So instead of me trying to figure out the best approach to do this, I just asked the agent the best way to handle this. And what blew me away is that it not only gave me clear step-by-step instructions, but it built the whole pipeline in the board for me. So instead of just listing things like a typical LLM, it gave me practical and visual workflows right inside the board. So following its instructions, I dropped my untextured shoe animation in and extracted the start frame. I then gave it a few reference images of my shoe and the style I wanted and asked it to create a shoe style sheet for me, as well as an environment sheet for the jungle. I asked it to then drop our shoe into that jungle to create our start frame. Right away, it produced a really cool image that matched our previous camera one-to-one. So I selected my original untextured animation, and then I asked the agent to modify my render, but using that image as the final look. So in this example, under the hood, it's using Ray 3.14 modify to transfer that realism onto my animation, but without me having to figure out the right prompts or technicalities on how to achieve the result I want. And after a few moments, the entire shot becomes fully textured and hyper real. But here's the part that matters. It adhered to my 3D camera one-to-one. There wasn't any drifting or unexpected reframing or weird interpretation that you usually get. Everything just stayed intact and it applied the realistic look on a render just as we wanted. And that's really the power of this hybrid approach. By the way, if you want my whole workflow you're seeing here, I've linked it for free down below. Now you can also do this manually and kind of go a little bit more advanced by selecting both of your clips and right-clicking them and hitting modify video. You can choose either to adhere strictly to your reference video using something like adhere, or if you want to allow flexibility for Luma to create things and lose a little adherence, you can choose something like flex. This setting is pretty important as it can give you a range of different results, and it's actually worth it to play around with all of them. So I usually just tell the agent to create me a version of each from adhere 1, 2, and 3, and some of the flex options, and I just choose my favorite after that. So from there, I pushed it even further, and I wanted to add some extra elements to the video. Like I wanted to add water dripping from the shoe, and I added it no problem. I also asked it to add flying bugs in the background to give the scene a little bit more life, and surprisingly, it handled that on the first try. I also got some cool results with rain, which weren't exactly what I wanted, but it was really cool to see how realistic the water interacts with the shoe. the environment. Then I had even more fun and I asked it to create completely different environments like an Arctic environment, desert, mountains, and a few creative ones on its own. And it gave me some awesome results. Like some of these would take weeks to build traditionally. So this is where it got really cool. I selected all the environments and I asked it to modify our untextured animation again, but in all of these new environments. And it generated fully camera matched variations in each of these environments. And again, I modified some of these further to add more VFX elements like dust under the shoe or weather effects or even like a shoe splash. And the results were so realistic. And that's where this gets pretty interesting because now you're not just texturing a shot, you're rapidly exploring creative directions and it feels like you're just outsourcing these tasks, which lets you spend more time on the creative parts of the workflow. Now, this next feature is one of my favorite features of Luma, and this is where I feel like Luma can be really powerful for small teams or big companies even, and that is the team workflows. So in Luma, you now have the ability to share your entire board with a friend or a team member and work on it live together. I tested it out with my colleague and it was actually just a lot of fun because the agent can do multiple tasks at once and you guys can just split up the tasks and tackle entire projects together. So this is where I can see the workflow going beyond just a solo AI tool and becoming something production teams can actually use and build entire pipelines around. So whether you love AI or hate it, I do believe it's becoming part of the pipeline. And the real opportunity isn't replacing 3D. I think it's more about how we can combine these two together. I really believe the artists who learn how to use AI as a layer instead of a shortcut are going to have a serious advantage. Now, this raises a bigger question. If AI is making production faster and more accessible for everyone, how do you actually turn that into income as a 3D artist? In my next video, I break down exactly how I structure my income as a 3D artist in today's age, from client work to digital products to new AI opportunities. If you want to watch that video, check it out right here. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.